Start again. G'day punters, your old mate Juppy from Star Sports Australia here with this week's edition, albeit very late, of the Weekend Witness. The reason why it's a little bit late is because I thought, I was very busy earlier in the week, and B, we've sort of chimed in to include the Bendigo Cup week. Well, it's sort of our weekend up here because we get the public holiday. So I thought I'd include that because it was pretty interesting. Let's kick off on Saturday. I headed off to Alexandra Picnics. Only got through the 4 races there. We did get a shower of rain. I got wet through. Half my gear got get through. For those that haven't been to Alexandra, it's quite an undulating track. I had a bit of a discussion with Toby Lake and Reece Goodwin about it yesterday, who've both ridden that track plenty of times. It's a natural track. It's in the middle of the golf course there. So it just sort of doesn't naturally... It's not like Flemington or anything where it's got the super drainage. And also when it rains during the meeting, the water just sort of sits on top. So it does become quite slippery and it's got a really sharp home bend. So as soon as we saw that the weather was coming, we sort of knew the meeting was going to be in trouble. There was one thing I did learn though. My Twitter handle's at the picnics. I've been going to the picnics for a hell of a long time. And I used to do the form manually. I've had a bit of a break from it for a few years now because I hadn't been going. But I did the form manually for this meeting and also got some rated prices and some ratings later on and sort of tried to meld the two. But I think early in the season I've got to stick with what I know there because it seemed to work quite a bit better than what the figure showed. The other thing on Saturday was in the bookies versus pros that I do for Betfair. I got my arse handed to me by Dean Watling. He had a generational day, but the problem with it is he's still behind me. So he's definitely closed the gap right up, and it was a big performance by him. But yes, he's still behind. Also Saturday, we were at Moonee Valley for the final meeting in the current configuration. What a race the Cox Plate was. Another legendary race to add to the mystique of that race. Just awesome. Via Sistina was enormous. Buckaroo, I reckon's got the absolute... That's the best form going into the Melbourne Cup. And Treasure the Moment recaptured some of her form. All unreal performances. It'll be a procession on that Champions Day in the Champions Stakes for Via Sistina. I was actually talking to Aaron Morrison yesterday about it, and he pointed something out that a lot of those younger people now, what used to be Derby Day for sort of my generation is now Stakes Day for this generation. The Champions Day, they love that day. They've built it right up. It's been a huge winner. It's a real good turnover day too. Hopefully there's some dry weather because it looks like there's some wet weather coming for Cup week, so hopefully it might be dry on that day and the track's not too chopped up and we'll get a good meeting. But yeah, she was epic. And as I said, Buckaroo looks like the grouse form heading into the Melbourne Cup. Some of the memories from Moonee Valley, I jotted a few of them down. I had my 18th birthday party there. It was Australia Day 1998 was the first ever night meeting, and they ran a double header that day. They ran 8 races during the day and then an 8 race card at night. I was there with my late father and 5 or 6 mates from school. And yeah, we had a ripping night out there. Yeah, plenty of great memories at Moonee Valley. One of the more recent ones was prior to Jenny and Mr. Brightside last year on the grand final eve. I was there with Curly. That was a ripping night. Yeah, just some great performances that I've seen there down through the years. Like I can remember the old Hiskin Steeple used to be there, and like some great Cox Plate performances too. Like the Winxes, Mackay Diva coming around the bend. Like a lot of it's been spoken about this weekend, and also from a harness racing point of view, like Night Pistol and Lyle Creek and like those epic Victoria Cups and Hunter Cups sort of during the 90s and 2000s, just that sort of captured my imagination. And just as a young man, sort of in my late teens and early 20s, going out there regularly on a Saturday night, and there's still been quite a few bookies there, and there was bookies upstairs, and Gavin Marantelli used to be on the end there betting on Penrith Dogs and Wentworth Park, and it was the only place at that stage in Victoria where you could bet on it was to go out there and bet on it with him. So, yeah, I will miss the place. Hopefully the new setup adds to that amphitheatre sort of style. I was a bit disappointed about everyone nicking off with, apparently they were trying to pitch TVs and artwork, and even the run and rail. Like, there are picnic and like once a year clubs that could actually use that sort of stuff. Like, that could have been packed up and whacked on a truck and sent to a joint like Nil or somewhere like that could actually use that sort of stuff. So that was a little bit disappointing. Sport-wise, NFL. It was a bit of a dot ball weekend in the NFL, to be honest. There wasn't too much to get excited about, but there was a disappointing aspect and then a really, really pleasing aspect from my point of view. Cam Scatterby dislocating his ankle, like his foot was facing in the wrong direction. It was just horrific. He'd been an absolute highlight reel so far this season, and it's just a shame that we won't see him, especially in a place like New York that's been crying out for a character and a player of his caliber for a while. The other pleasing thing was the Indianapolis Colts. My Colts are going very, very nicely, and they look a proper playoff team. They're 7-1 at the minute, and they're not like the Patriots who are like 5-3 or something. But the Patriots have literally only beaten the Bills. The rest of them they've beaten are just garbage. Whereas the Colts look good. They've got a grouse offensive line, which is helping both Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes capture his career best form, and also Jonathan Taylor. He should be the MVP. I know it's a quarterback award, but I just reckon that's a bit of bullshit. Like, he's clearly had the most phenomenal season you've ever seen, but he probably won't win that award. Basketball. Speaking of people that are overperforming or just out of this world at the moment, is Victor Wembanyama. Like, some of the stuff he's doing at the moment for the Spurs is just phenomenal. Like, he's pulling up, hitting threes, he's blocking heaps of shots. He's 7'4". I don't know how you stop him. He's going to be a real handful for the league for the foreseeable future. WNBL back here. Interesting, we finished the second round. I reckon I had my preseason ratings right. I think I've got them in the right order, and I think I've roughly got my power ratings right. I was half a point off getting the lot on Tuesday night because Bendigo took on Geelong, and I took the -3.5, but then also took the +6.5, and it landed 7. So Bendigo are going to be there or thereabouts. Geelong are improving, but I think Geelong got a bit of a reality check of where they're at. Baseball. I'm sitting here on Thursday afternoon, and we've just finished Game 5 in the World Series. The Blue Jays have won again, so they lead the series 3-2 against my Dodgers. But like, we had that. Speaking of Tuesday night, I went to the Trots, and one of the regulars who comes out and has a bet with me each week, he brought his tablet up and said, this baseball game's still going. And I thought, what? So yes, it was an epic. Just broke all sorts of statistical records. It's been such a wildly entertaining series. Otani had that game in game 1 or 2 when he's hit 3 home runs and struck 10 out. Like, it's just been wildly entertaining. So these last 2 games now head to Toronto, and it's going to be tough for the Dodgers to do it, but it'll be interesting to see if they can. Bendigo over the last couple of days. I went out to the Trots and on Tuesday night. I reckon it was Troy Harley who came up with this idea. It was about roughly when I moved up here, so 7 or 8 years ago, when Troy was in charge of the Dogs. If you go to the Thoroughbred, like to the Bendigo Cup, it's a great event, and we'll get to that, but there's not a lot of kids' activities. So they sort of saw that there was an angle there for to try and get some families involved. So it's a massive night out there with it's a big Halloween theme. There's a stack of kids rides. There's plenty of activities for them, and it's a dual code meeting. So you got the dogs and the trots that are next door to one another. It was the second highest holding meeting of the year behind the Cup. It was. I wasn't under the pump, but I was busy and very pleased. So it was another good result for both clubs there that they got plenty of people there. But that leads me into yesterday out there at the Nursery of Champions. Well done to Paul Scully and the team out there at the Jockey Club. It was a spectacular event. The weather certainly helped. It was beautiful. It was mild. It was probably 23 or 4 degrees. It was perfect. We had an inch of rain leading up to it on the Sunday. That the track was... everyone's complaining that it was leader biased. Well, that track's tired. It's getting a renovation now, which is what it needs. But they came from a couple of other spots too, but you needed to sort of be on the rails in run. But massive crowd there. I reckon there was 6,000 or 7,000 people there. A lot of young people there, which was really promising. And because it's such a big space out there, everyone who went there probably had a really good time. So they'll be back, hopefully. So there was a bit of wagering done. We had a big lead and gave it a bit back. But like what Dino Watling did to me on Saturday, Miles Fitzner did to me yesterday. I took on the Magic Man, and he went 4 from 4. So I got my ass handed to me, but we live to fight another day. But there was an interesting conversation I had yesterday at the races, and I was thinking about this afterwards last night. So we're now about 2 months on from RSN as we knew it, finishing up. And after talking to some people over the last few days, I think we're all still a little bit lost with it. If you haven't been sold on SEN, I don't know why, but I just can't seem to warm to it. I think it's not the ads; they're not really doing it. I don't know whether it's the personalities or the content or what it was, but the only program now on the new RSN that I religiously listen to, and normally it's because I'm either working or I'm travelling somewhere, is Correct Weight on the Sunday morning with the two Noonan brothers, who I'm always happy to listen to and talk to, and am enlightened and entertained whenever I speak to them. I ran into Nico yesterday. I'll hopefully catch both of the boys there on Monday at the Call of the Card. Just champion young men, really thoughtful, and their personalities are coming out in what they're doing there, which I think if SEN adopted more of that stuff, I think they'd be better off. But that's just my 2 cents. What am I doing to fill in that space when I used to listen to RSN? Well, it's a bit of everything, but it's lucky that we're at the Sports Equinox at the moment, where we've got the 4 major leagues happening over in the US, so there's normally something on for me to watch in the morning anyway. Anyway, it was a ripping sort of 5-day weekend for me here in Bendigo. Can't wait for this weekend. It's Christmas for me. We've got Derby Day, be a real good betting day there on Saturday. Then we've got the Call of the Card on Monday. We've got the Bookies versus Pros. We're going to do it live at the Betfair function on Sunday, I'm led to believe, so that'll be great. And then into Cup Day. The only worry that I've got is that if I was looking at the weather forecast while I was talking to me little mate Knackers earlier, that there's up to 75 mils predicted for the couple of days leading up. I would say if they got 30 mils or more at Kyneton, they'd be in real trouble. But we shall wait and see. Hopefully they can go ahead. But yeah, massive Cup week coming up. We're going to be betting here at Star Sports. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be working in the lawn Undercroft. It's just going to be an awesome weekend coming up. So that was the weekend that was, punters. So remember, trust the first wipe and gamble responsibly.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on screen or visit the website.